I'm so disappointed you're asking me this question. It's outrageous that people should be casting aspersions on such a figure, central figure of Western civilization. I think these are discontented rumblings of feminists, post-colonialists and cultural critics. Shakespeare clearly is preeminent and should not be questioned.
So do you have a problem with feminists, Dr. Grogan?
Absolutely.
So have you heard about the recent accusations that Shakespeare has been said to have plagiarized his plays?
Yes, I've heard of them for many years.
And
I'm almost old enough to have been there, so
Oh, okay.
vouch for their inauthenticity.
And anything to say about the upcoming trial we're doing here on campus to put Shakespeare on trial for accusations of plagiarism?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yeah.
And what are your reasonings behind this?
Well, just because the breadth of the work is that all of the other contenders fall down somewhere, couldn't have been in the right place at the right time. There's a consistency to the plays, which they're all written by the same guy for sure.
Are you an expert on Shakespearean
Not
literature?
as much as some of my colleagues are, but I've done enough of them to know.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. This is Professor Medland at the theater. Here we go.
I think he's innocent. I think that he wrote all the plays that he's been given credit for. I think there's too much historical evidence to back it up, and people have heard about him and in history, and I mean, they've documented him, so I think it'd be pretty hard to plagiarize all his plays like that, so I think he's innocent.
We all love a conspiracy. Everybody loves a conspiracy, whether it's the Kennedy assassination or whether it's the FBI killed Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison. The trouble with this particular conspiracy is that first of all, the scope of the conspiracy would have to be so incredibly mind-boggling to change people's attitudes and convince them that Shakespeare wrote plays that he didn't really write. It's hard to imagine that could occur. And secondly, all the other candidates that have been put up as having written these plays, there's virtually no evidence that they wrote the plays. So in the absence of another contender for somebody that we could think really could have written the plays, we might as well accept the name of William Shakespeare. And finally, is that probably the best thing one could do is, as opposed to focusing on who wrote the plays, is to simply read them and enjoy them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Were these written by the man himself? I may neither choose who I would, not refuse who I dislike. Good words, William. Good words.
He probably had some help from women.
From women. His wife in particular?
In particular.
So you think his wife wrote some of
them. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'd like to see where that's going to go.
Do you think there'll ever be a serious investigation, considering that this is going to trial
I think it's
so
too late.
soon?
I think it's too late for that.
Do you think that not enough people care, or there's not enough information on the bard himself?
Probably not enough information. And whatever's been out there has probably been destroyed by now.
It's probably been perverted.
Yeah, been destroyed.
By perverts who pervert stuff. Damn those perverts! Damn you all!
But I'm really interested in this trial because, it might just open up a whole new kettle of fish.
Well, I'm pretty convinced that he did write all the works that he's attributed to writing. Maybe there's some variations. Maybe he joined up with somebody later on and did some collaborative works together. But I think that offhand, that the whole idea of authorship and whether he's guilty of fraud is kind of I guess the word's anachronistic, because I don't think they had any idea of what was copyright and intellectual property back then, which means that he could have copied from a number of sources and could have put his name on any source that he had, and I think that probably would have been accepted and wouldn't have been complained about. That's just my opinion.
Well, you know, Shakespeare came to Earth in October 30th, 1938. Most people don't know that. You may have heard of the Martian invasion of the Earth that happened on that day.
Okay.
And the Martians who came actually deposited an entire set of these quartos and folios, you know, very carefully replicated to look like Renaissance texts in libraries all around the world. And so many academics, not me of course, have been laboring under the impression that Shakespeare is this sort of important Renaissance writer. Fortunately, in film studies and cultural studies, we know about the fraud. A lot of literary scholars have never really studied 20th century, you know, contemporary cultural events, so they're not aware of this. But if you look at Shakespeare's texts, they're quite clearly written in a Martian form of English. How could you not notice that?
So you think that Shakespeare wrote all of his own works?
Yes, I certainly do.
100%.
I mean, if you're a genius, you're a genius. What's the point? Okay? You might have had all the education in the world, but if you're not a genius, you couldn't do it. It's easier to do it with a genius without the kind of education he might have got if he were an aristocrat than if he were an aristocrat and not been a person of that genius. That's the way I feel about it.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
No hope for the village, no hope for the village, the merchants in our midst.
Do you have any giraffe costumes?
Excuse me.
So I'm not sure where we're going, but it seems to be somewhere. There is a secret door.
Too small for me.
We're going down the rabbit hole. Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Do you have a feeling that this trial will go as everyone expects, which is, as your colleagues say, he is guilty? What do you think of these accusations?
My colleagues
your
say he's
colleagues?
guilty? I think that he's innocent, but that's up to the court to decide, and I think everyone has to go in with an objective mind and weigh the evidence presented.
Do you think that there will be objectivity involved, or people are so enthralled with the idea that he is a plagiaristic, fraudulent, sexist, feminist, maybe even racist, maybe even pedophilic? What are your thoughts on all of these accusations that could be brought up during the trial?
Well, you know, I think with great people come an equal number of detractors. So I think that, you know, the more wonderful you are and the more genius you demonstrate, the more people are willing to tear down that kind of institution. And the Bard has become so canonical and so ubiquitous in everything that we do. There's, you know, every single idiom that we use that's part of Shakespeare, every slang word, you know, the 1,000 words he imported into the English language. We're so influenced by him, even if we've never read Shakespeare. So that students coming to my class will already have known the plot of Hamlet without ever having read the play. So it really creates a sort of energy of people tearing down what is so important and crucial and ubiquitous, woven into the fabric of our culture.
Do you think it'll shake the foundation if he is found guilty of fraud? Do you think that the basics that we know without even having picked up Romeo and Juliet, will all of this change the way the English language has been said?
Well, I hope he's innocent. I hope he's found innocent. I hope that people will take the evidence. The problem with this trial is that a lot of conspiracy theories are based on the fact that there is no evidence. And so the lack of evidence is therefore evidence that there is a conspiracy theory. I would be surprised if he was found guilty, but you know, you never know.
Do you think he wrote all of his sonnets?
Well, I feel very strongly about it. He owes me a great deal of money.
Okay.
And it's important to me that that work be his. I intend, in fact, to take action against him for some of the money he owes me.
You're going to sue
And
Shakespeare?
if he's found to be a fraud, then I'm not going to get anything out of it, am I?
Okay, so you're hoping that he wrote them so you can sue him.
Yeah. I think he's something of a pervert too. There's a lot of sexual stuff.
I
in there.
heard about that. I was just telling my professor that he was also a
Well, there's some
pedophile.
very weird people in there. I don't like that at all, but that's beside the point.
He used to dress up.
I need my money.
He needs your money. Well, we can definitely send him an email or something.
Yeah.
Hunt him down.
Yeah.
That bastard.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's been looking for it for a long time.
Yeah. Well, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
93.
Okay, that about fits the timeline. Shakespeare was what, mid-19th
He's
century?
he's a bit of a snippet.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for
But
your
all
time.
writers are the same. All English scholars are the same as writers, aren't they?
I
They're all
don't
a bit
know.
strange.
I don't know. I know. We have this one teacher here. I don't know where she came from, but
Well, I think it comes with the territory.
what it is.
They're different, very, very different. Thank God we have the business faculty.
Thank God for those quacks. I mean,
Yeah, so I don't really like that Shakespeare guy. He's kind of got a big head on him, and he's just, running around chasing after some fair youth who obviously isn't interested in him. It's like, find someone your own age, right? Anyway, and then he's all like, I got a piercing in my ear, and I'm just the best. But obviously Christopher Marlowe was much better, and probably would have been much better if he hadn't died stabbed in the eye. And that's all I have to say about you, Mr. Shakespeare.
In my opinion, Shakespeare's the real McCoy. I don't believe he's guilty of fraud.
I am 100% of the sound opinion that Shakespeare did not commit any type of forgery when he was writing his plays. He was a man of the underclasses, and he wrote for the underclasses, and people just assumed because he was uneducated that he wouldn't be able to write. But only a man who didn't have the social constructs of education would be able to write something so brilliantly profound and creative and without structure. I believe that he's innocent.
Well, I think he's innocent, because how would we know? We weren't there. No one was there.
I believe that Shakespeare was real because no one could have made up the ridiculous outfits he wore.
That's a good one.
It's true.
All right. Well, I think he's innocent because most of the theories that are placed against him are usually based on other theories or on things that we can't prove or disprove anyways. So actually, in a way, it doesn't really matter.
I believe that William Shakespeare, the man who developed over 2,000 words in the English language, is innocent.
so he is by all accounts guilty.
Absolutely, yes. Or the Martian who was impersonating him is.
I say guilty.
Definitely.
Guilty. Well, no, I mean, the evidence is all there. I say guilty.
Guilty.
He's guilty.
Guilty. Definitely.
Guilty, absolutely. Guilty.
I believe that Shakespeare is not guilty.
Obviously not guilty.
Guilty.
Who's Shakespeare?
Guilty.
Okay, ich glaube, Shakespeare ist unschuldig.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Have I seen him on YouTube?
He's not guilty.
Long live Shakespeare.
Shakespeare's free, free Shakespeare!
He's innocent! Innocent! Bye!